I'll change the topic to Gemini Nano Banana. Here, to activate the flow in n8n, I just need to change its status to To-Do. That means our final blog post has been automatically published on the WordPress website, and it will look like this. It will have this feature image, then the title of the post, followed by the introduction, and here is the first chapter. In this first chapter, we have two subchapters. This is subchapter 1, and here is subchapter 2. After that, we move on to chapter 2, which is applications and impact of Gemini Nano Banana. Then we have subchapter 1 of chapter 2 and subchapter 2 of chapter 2, and finally the conclusion and about us. So this is a blog post that is completely written automatically by AI. In this blog post, there will also be links, both internal and external, from the sources that the article references. It will use AI to automatically add links into our articles. This helps further improve the SEO of the article. Besides that, it also saves a backup copy for us on Drive. First, the content will be saved into a Google Doc file, so we'll have a backup in Markdown format. Second, the images will also be saved to our Drive. Now I'll switch to this format so you can see it. Since this article we're writing has 2 chapters, there will be 3 images. First, there's a cover image, then the second and third images are for the 2 chapters of the article. If we go to the admin section on our WordPress site, we'll also see that this article isn't published automatically right away, but is saved as a draft so we can go in and edit it. Additionally, for the category section, it has also automatically assigned the appropriate categories to our article. Looking over it, I think it's really quite fitting. Similarly, for the tags, it also automatically creates relevant tags and assigns them to our articles. The next step is that we can go in here and directly edit, see if there's anything we need to fix or improve, and just make those edits right here. Once we've got the final version of the article, we just hit publish to put it up on our website. So this is the n8n Workflow Deeper Research v2.1. We can give it one topic or multiple topics, then set the status of these rows to To-Do, and it will trigger the automated workflow in n8n, which will write the articles for us. With this automated workflow, it helps us save a lot of time writing articles, and all these articles will be based on the latest information found online. Here, we're actually using Perplexity AI for the information research task, Everyone. It will search for information to pull up the latest updates, and when it writes articles for us, it ensures our content is up to date and based on real information, minimizing the risk of writing fake or made-up articles. Hello, hi everyone, I'm Minda. I'm back again. Welcome everyone to my new video. In this video, I'll be sharing the latest updates on the n8n workflow called WordPress Blog Automation with Deeper Research, version 2.1. This is an upgraded version from version 2.0. On this cover image, I've also listed some of the standout features of this workflow. For example, Deep Research can handle multiple topics at once and supports multiple languages. But actually, that's not entirely accurate. More precisely, it's the ability for us to choose the output language of the article. I'll go into more detail about this part in a bit. Then, it automatically uses AI to assign categories and create tags for articles on WordPress. There's also a very comprehensive backup system, backing up to multiple places, and it can be triggered by either Google Sheets or the n8n native form. These are just a few highlights, and later on, I'll dive deeper into these standout features. As usual, if you've already purchased the WordPress Blog Automation Deeper Research v1 or v2, you'll be upgraded to this v2.1 version completely free of charge. Keep an eye on your email over the next day or two. I'll be sending out an email along with the code so you can get this v2.1 version for free. So, what are we waiting for? I'll jump straight into the demo now. With this n8n workflow, we have 2 ways to trigger it. The first way is through an n8n form that looks like this. We can enter the topic and then choose whether or not to use Deep Research. Enter your website domain address, select the style, choose the target audience, set the max word count, and pick the number of chapters you want to write. Then, the number of subchapters is the number of subsections, meaning each chapter can be broken down into more chapters. And this chapter field will only work if you select Deep Research as yes, okay? Scroll down and you'll see Category ID, which is the ID of the default category. But when writing articles, the AI will also automatically assign suitable categories to your posts. Then there's the CTA, Call to Action, field, the About Company section, and finally the Sitemap XML, the link to the post sitemap that you want to include in your articles. Once you've filled in all these fields, just hit submit. So this is the n8n form. This n8n form gives us a very user-friendly interface. You can save this URL, and whenever you want to write a new article, just come here and fill in the fields from top to bottom. Then just click the submit button, and it will trigger the workflow in n8n. So that's the first method, using the n8n form. The limitation of this method is that you can only create one post at a time. That means after creating one topic, you'll have to fill in all these fields again for the next one. To create multiple posts, we'll use the second activation method, which is Google Sheets. The Google Sheets template will look like this. It will also have fields that we need to fill in, such as topic, deep research, website, style, target audience group, maximum word count, number of chapters, number of subchapters per chapter, category ID, CTA, company introduction, and the link to the post sitemap XML. We'll need to enter all these fields. But the great thing about triggering with Google Sheets is that we can enter multiple topics at once. It will then trigger the automated workflow in n8n sequentially. That means it will process each topic one by one until they're all done, guys. And the field that triggers the automated workflow is the status field. When the topic we want to write has the status to do, that's when it triggers the automated writing workflow in n8n. When n8n is writing the article, it will change the status from to do to in progress, and after it's done writing, it will automatically update the status to done. All of this will be updated automatically, guys. Now, I'll demo a whole topic for you. I'll copy the information from the row above and paste it down here, and you don't need to worry, it won't trigger the automated workflow in n8n. Because our status here is already done, it won't be triggered. The status has to be to do for it to automatically trigger in n8n, which checks every 10 minutes or so, guys. We can totally change the check interval for this Google Sheet file. I'll change the topic to Gemini Nano Banana, done. I'll keep the other fields as they are. Here, to activate the workflow in n8n, I just need to change its status to do, and that will trigger the automatic workflow in n8n, guys. Alright, now I'll switch over to the n8n interface. So this deeper research v2.1 workflow will include two flows. First, the trigger flow, and second, the main flow. The trigger flow is where we adjust how this automation workflow gets triggered. With this workflow, we have two ways to trigger it. The first way is through an n8n form, and the second is via a Google Sheet file, so we can write multiple articles at once. We can put multiple topics into the Google Sheet file, and this trigger will process them one by one, taking each topic and sending it to the main flow to write articles sequentially until all the topics in the Google Sheet are done. As for the main flow, this is the main flow where all the flows and the article writing logic take place. As you can see, its logic is quite complex. Now, I'll go back to the trigger flow so I can run it manually. Normally, you just need to activate the trigger flow. The main flow will run in the background, so you don't need to activate it. You only need to activate this trigger flow so it runs 24/7, and it will monitor the n8n form and this Google Sheet. Every 10 minutes, it will check the Google Sheet file to see if there are any topics with the status to do. If there are, it will pick those topics to write articles about. Now I'll run this workflow. Alright, it's already picked out a topic, guys. Let me open it up for you to see. It's the topic Gemini Nano Banana. It's already been selected. Alright, after picking it out, it has pushed it to the main flow so it can write the article. Now, I'll move over to the main flow to explain a bit about the logic of this main flow for you. So now, it will get the topic from the trigger flow, and it will retrieve this item. And here, there's a button called Global Configuration, which is the default, Global Settings. So here, there will only be one variable, which is the language of the article, the output language. If we want it in English, Vietnamese, or any other language, we just enter it here. Then after that, it will process through this flow, which also has quite a lot of steps. Here, in this node section, I've also provided an explanation. First, it will take the topics and put them into this loop. Here, it fetches the categories currently available on our website, so that later it can assign them to our new article. And up here, it fetches the site match, which also serves the writing part later on. And this initial research step has also been significantly upgraded compared to the previous version. In terms of logic, this initial research not only conducts research, but also extracts the main and subtopics for the article, so that later it can break things down and write them for you. Besides that, in this version, I've also upgraded all the nodes that call Perplexity AI, using the new native Perplexity AI node recently added to n8n. So that's the initial research step. After the initial research, it will have the topics as well as the ideas for the chapters it will write. And at this point, it will check whether deeper research is needed. If deeper research is needed, it will go back to the previous step, breaking down the chapter topics into subchapter topics. Then it will continue with subchapter research, meaning it will do research for each subchapter. Then it writes each subchapter, and then combines them into a chapter. So, if our article has 2 chapters, and each chapter has 2 subchapters, then overall it will loop through this process to create 2 main chapters, and within each main chapter, there will be 2 subchapters. But if our article doesn't require deeper research, then it will follow the lower path, only researching the 2 main topics for the 2 big chapters. After that, it will hand things over to a copywriter agent to write each chapter. Then, it will also combine everything into chapters. By this stage, we already have the content for each chapter, and we'll compile all these chapters together before creating the overall structure for the article. In this blog planner, we'll also add extra information, such as drafting a few conclusions and prompts for generating images for the next steps, everyone. At this step, we'll also create a Drive folder to store our text content. The image content will be created in the following steps, and in this next step, we'll generate images for each chapter to upload to Drive. Here, there's also a note that with this workflow, I've upgraded the image generation model to the latest one from OpenAI, which is GPT Image. This means it will require us to verify our organization. So that's the part about creating images for each chapter, and then either generating or retrieving the tag IDs that already exist on the website, and after that, creating a feature image for the entire article as well. After that, it will gather all of these into the final article. Then, it will publish this article on our website. After publishing, once it has the article ID, it can proceed to the next step, which is setting up the feature image for that article. Then, it will add some metadata excerpts to the Google Sheets file. After that, it saves all the information into a backup file on Google Sheets. Now, if we go back to this Google Sheets file, we can see that this article has been completed and its status has changed from to do to done. And the final blog post will be saved here, in this final blog tab. Now, I'll scroll down for you to see. It adds to the very last row down here, which is Gemini n8n. Here, we have the topic and the entire content of the blog post in Markdown format and in HTML format. Now, I'll adjust this a bit to make it easier for you to see. I'll move it to the top, so now we have Markdown and HTML here. These tag labels are automatically added to our WordPress website already. As for the SEO meta title, meta description, and excerpt, for now, we still have to add those manually to our website, okay? And this is the final blog post. I'll open the final URL of this blog post for you to see, okay? So our final blog post has been automatically published on the WordPress website, and it looks like this. It will have a featured image here. Then comes the title of the post, followed by the introduction section. Here is the first chapter. In this first chapter, we have 2 subchapters. This is subchapter 1. And here is subchapter 2. After that, we move on to chapter 2, which is Application and Impact of Gemini n8n, and then we have subchapter 1 and subchapter 2 of chapter 2. And finally, there's the conclusion about us. This is a blog post that was written entirely automatically by AI. In this blog post, there will also be links, both internal and external, from the sources that the article references. So, it uses AI to automatically add links into our articles to further improve the SEO of the post. Besides that, it also saves a backup for us on Drive. First, for the content part, it will save it into a Google Doc file, so we'll have a backup in Markdown format. And second, for the images, it will also save them into our Drive. Let me switch to this format to show you guys. Because this article we wrote has 2 chapters, there will be 3 images. First, there's a cover image, and then the second and third images are for the 2 chapters of that article. If we go to the admin section on our WordPress site, we'll also see that this article isn't published automatically right away, but is saved as a draft so we can go in and edit it. Additionally, for the category section, it has also automatically assigned the appropriate categories to our article. Looking through it, I find that it's actually very fitting. Similarly, for the tags, it also automatically creates relevant tags and assigns them to our articles. The next step is that we can go in here and directly edit to see if there's anything we need to fix or improve, and we'll just edit it right here. Once we've got the final article, we just need to hit publish to put it on our website. So this is the n8n Workflow Deeper Research v2. We can give it one topic or multiple topics, then set the status of these rows to do, and it will trigger the automated workflow in n8n. It will write the article for us and automatically upload it to our website as a draft, so we can edit it on our WordPress site. With this automated workflow, it helps us save a lot of time on writing articles. And all of our articles will be based on the latest information found online. Here, we're using Perplexity AI for that information research task, everyone. It will search for information to extract the latest updates. When it writes articles for us, it ensures that our content is up to date and based on real information, minimizing the risk of creating fake or hallucinated articles that rely solely on the AI model's existing data, which can be outdated or prone to errors. Next, I'll talk a bit about the new features in this version 2.1. First, with this version 2.1, I've also updated the core AI logic, that is, the logic of the automated AI workflow in n8n, so that the articles it generates are of much higher quality and more logical. The sections are now tightly connected to each other. Second, it now supports language selection. Here, using the term language might not be entirely accurate. To be precise, we can choose the language we want, and the AI will return our final article in that language. Why didn't I design it as multi-language? Because I think it's unnecessary, it's just redundant. In reality, for each website, we usually fix it so that this website or this automation flow is set. It will generate articles in a specific language, and we rarely change that language. For example, if a website has an English interface, right? Then we'll write our blog posts in English. If the website has a Vietnamese interface, then we'll write our blog posts in Vietnamese. We don't mix the two languages together, you know. That means, on a Vietnamese website, you won't see both English and Vietnamese articles mixed together, or vice versa. On an English website, you won't find English articles mixed with articles in other languages. In reality, we just don't do that. And for each website or each language, we only write blog posts in that specific language. Then, after that, we might translate from the original language into other languages. That's the logical way to do it. That's why I designed my workflow here to only let users choose the output language, instead of supporting multiple languages, because I feel like that would be a bit redundant. If I set it up as multi-language, I'd have to add another column in this Google Sheet file, which could make writing posts more flexible. But actually, I think that column would be pretty unnecessary, because for example, if our posts are connected to a WordPress website in English, then all the posts there will be in English, right? So, in this case, all the values in that column would be exactly the same. And once a value doesn't change for each post, we should just hard-code it directly in the code. But if we want to make it a variable like this, it means we want it to be flexible. That means, for each row we add, we can change the values of these columns like variables, so it can be customized for each different blog post. Alright, the third upgrade, also a small one, is that I've replaced all the nodes called Perplexity AI with the native Perplexity node from n8n. Thanks to that, I was also able to remove a sub-workflow for the research tool in version 2.0. Now, all the code for doing research will be executed directly in the main flow. This also simplifies the template structure, reducing it from 3 nested workflows down to just 2. It makes setup, management, and debugging much easier as well. And finally, there are a lot of fixes, updates, modifications, and upgrades, both big and small, so many that I can't list them all here. In this v2.1 version, as you just saw in the demo, you can also notice the standout features of this workflow. I've also listed here 14 standout features of my n8n workflow deeper research v2.1. First, we have conditional deeper research. That means we can choose, for each topic, whether we want to activate deeper research to generate an article that's more in-depth and comprehensive. Second, regarding language selection, we can choose the output language depending on our website and target audience. Third, there's a centralized interface, which in this case is Google Sheets, very simple for us to use to create articles in bulk. We can change variables and track the writing status of each topic. Fourth is the dual trigger, meaning there are 2 ways to activate it. The first is using the n8n native form. Whenever we write a topic, it will have a simple, user-friendly interface, and the second way is to use Google Sheets. When we want to write articles in bulk, covering many topics, we just need to enter multiple rows in the Google Sheet file. Then, this workflow has also been upgraded to the AI model version. The latest versions of AI image generation models are available, and here I'm using OpenAI's image generation model. Sixth is the feature to generate multiple images. I think this is the only workflow on the market that allows you to generate multiple images for a blog post. We'll have a feature image for the whole article and images for each chapter. So currently, all of these images are generated by AI. Seventh is automatic categorization, which I've already explained. The AI will take all the post categories on your website and assign the newly created post to the most relevant topics. Similarly, number 8 is automatic tag creation, where it will also automatically generate relevant tags to assign to the post. If a tag already exists, it will find the tag ID. If the tag doesn't exist yet, it will create a new tag ID. And then batch topic processing. This is also very straightforward. It will process multiple topics at once. We can input multiple topics into a Google Sheet file, and the n8n workflow will process each one sequentially, letting us know the status of each topic, whether it's being written or has already been completed. 10th is the feature related to links. This automation workflow will add internal links, which are taken from the sitemap, and external links, which are sourced from research using Perplexity AI. The next features are also quite obvious, like direct integration with WordPress. After writing the article, it will automatically be pushed to WordPress in draft mode, so we can go into WordPress, use the interface, and edit any remaining information, such as SEO and metadata. As for information like category, tag, and image, those are automatically pushed to our WordPress website. Next is a very comprehensive backup system. As you can see, it saves the final content in multiple formats and in different places. For example, the Markdown content file goes to Google Docs, images go to Google Drive, and the entire article content, URL, and a lot of other basic information are saved in a Google Sheet file. The last two features are quite minor. The rate limit feature in this workflow is designed with appropriate wait nodes to avoid errors from calling the API too frequently. As for the native Perplexity integration, as I just explained, I've replaced the HTTP request nodes to the Perplexity AI API with the new native Perplexity AI node from n8n. The next diagram explains a bit about the logic of this workflow. First, we have the topic we want to write about, and then we do the initial research. From this initial research, we get information about the main topic we want to write as well as the subtopics we can cover. From there, it creates a plan for the article with these chapter topics and subchapter topics. For each subtopic, it continues to research that subtopic to generate even smaller subtopics. And for each of these subtopics, it continues to do research. Then, based on the research results, it starts writing the article. Just like that, it will research these smaller subtopics and write each chapter. In the end, it will combine all these chapters along with other information like the introduction, conclusion, images, and SEO to create the final article, which will then be automatically uploaded to WordPress. This is the logic behind this workflow. Okay, so in this video, I've introduced you to the latest upgrade of the workflow, n8n WordPress Blog Automation with Deeper Research v2.1, which helps you create high-quality articles based on research. This workflow is especially suitable for topics that are time-sensitive, recent events, or trending subjects. This n8n workflow template is a paid product, so if you're interested, you can check out the link to learn more and purchase it. As usual, whenever I launch a new product, I always offer a special discounted price for new customers for a limited time. So if you're interested, just go straight to the product link to have a look. For those of you who have already purchased the WordPress Blog Automation Deeper Research v2 or even v1, you'll get this update completely free of charge. I'll send out information via email to customers who bought the previous versions and guide you on how to get this v2.1 version, which comes with a lot of valuable improvements. And once again, this is quite a long video. I'll wrap things up here. See you again in the next video. Bye-bye.